Hi friends, today let's solve 2019 reset chemistry questions. So the first question, so the spelling of spectral lines in a strong magnetic field is called Zeeman effect. We'll let you know why exactly it is. So when an external magnetic field or an electric field is present, emission lines from atoms are split into several components. That is called Zeeman effect. This is how it looks in case of zinc. So next question. So Bohr's model can explain spectrum of a hydrogen atom, spectrum of a hydrogen molecule, solar spectrum. This is outdated. So spectrum of an atom or ion indicating one electron only. So this is not only specific to hydrogen. So Bohr's theory can apply to only one electron, and it is similar to the present of hydrogen atom. So here the catchword is only for one electron. Next, the maximum number of electrons in a d orbital which it can accommodate is, this is a direct question. It is 10. I'll explain you why exactly it is. So C, S, P, D, F. F will accommodate 14, D will accommodate 10, P will accommodate 6, and S will be accommodating 2. So try to remember these values. So next, magnesium atomic number is 12. So we have to simply draw so here if you see the atomic number is 12, so 2 plus 2 4 plus 4 3 is 2. So see this, so 1 is 2, 2 is 2, 2p 6p will be having 6 and s will be 2. So here we have 12. So the answer is third option. The next question, so nitrogen molecule contains, direct answer, covalent bond. So see this diagram, so nitrogen will be having covalent bond. So the homework here is, what are the different bond examples for each of this. Next question, so 1 mole of any particle contains, it is not minus 23. So 1 mole is defined as an amount of substance that contains as many particles as the number of atoms in exactly 12 grams of carbon. This is a chance of question with these many particles. So the unit of mole is mole. So also we have to remember, this is also called Avogadro number. Now the normality of a solution obtained by dissolving 4 grams of NaOH in 1 liter. So we have this formula, N is gram equivalent of solute divided by volume of solute in liter into 1000 by V in ml. So it is given, weight is 4 grams. Okay, so the normality is W by into 1000 by volt in ml. So it is 4 divided by 40. So how did we get gram equivalent of NaOH? So Na has 23 oxygen and hydrogen, this is 40. So the gram equivalent of the solute is nothing but 40. So here also it is given as 1 liter, therefore this is 1 by 10 for 0.1. So the next question, molecular weight of H2SO4. This is for hydrogen it is 1, for sulfur it is 32, for oxygen it is 16. So simply 2 plus 32 plus 64 it is 98. So what exactly is a Lewis acid? So it is a substance try to remember these values for calculation of molecular weights. So H2SO4, what I have done is from this, for hydrogen it is 1, for oxygen it is 16, for sulfur it is 32. So based on this atomic masses I am able to calculate the molecular weight. Now next, so here what exactly is a Lewis acid? So here Lewis acid is a substance basically which accepts a lone pair of electrons. I'll explain you why. So a Lewis acid is any substance such as H plus ion which can accept a pair of non-binding electrons. This is an important point. So we can also say Lewis acid is an electron pair acceptor. So Lewis base is any substance. So this is acid whereas this is base. So it is any substance that can donate a pair of non-bonding electrons. So that is why lone pair of electrons. So if it is base, the answer will be homework. So next, pH of solution is 9.5. Then what exactly is the solution? Simply remember 6, 7, 8. If this is the pH scale, if it is greater than 7, it is base, and if it is less than 7, it is acid, and exactly if it is 7, it is neutral. So since it is given as 9.5, which means you can simply call it base. Next, so laws of electrolysis were given by Faraday. So he has given the first law in which W is proportional to Q, and in the second law we have W is proportional to E. So this is the pH scale which I was telling. At 7 it is neutral. So anything greater than 7 it is base, or I will call it alkaline, and less than 7 it is acidic. So Faraday's laws of electrolysis are the two quantitative laws used to express the magnitude of electrolytic effects. Okay, so these are the first two laws which I was telling. So it states that during electrolysis, the amount of chemical reaction which occurs at any electrode under the influence of electrical energy is proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through it. So W is proportional to Q, or you can write W is ECT. Next, during electrolysis, the same quantity of electricity passed through the electrolytic solution. A number of different substances liberated are proportional to their chemical equivalent weight. So this was what I was telling. So equivalent weight here is defined as the ratio of atomic mass of metal and the number of electrons for reducing the cation. So we have W1 by W2 as E1 by E2. So this is electrical energy and this is this one. Next. So what is the common electrolyte used in salt bridge? So this is simply potassium chloride. So see this. So the electrolyte in a salt bridge is chosen so that it does not react with any chemicals used in the cell. So electrolyte in this salt bridge must not be reactive. So that is why, so salt bridge, this basically consists of a unit of a U-shaped glass tube filled with relatively inert electrolyte. So inert electrolyte here, it is taking a combination of potassium or ammonium ions and chloride, which have a similar mobility of the solution. So simply remember it is potassium. Next, what is the standard reduction potential of an element equal to? So you have to remember this equation. So here oxidation potential is basically equal with a negative sign multiplied. So the standard reduction potential is the reduction potential of a molecule under specific conditions. So the standard reduction potential can be used to find the directionality of the reaction, and the reduction potential of a given species can be considered to be negative of the oxidation potential. So here I have a minus symbol. So here's ask the same point. So the standard EMF for a cell reaction is zinc plus copper plus zinc is 1.10 at 25 degrees. So the EMF of the cell reaction when it is 0.1 moles and 0.1 moles in the solution at 25 degrees. So I'm giving this as a homework question. Okay. So the next question, which chemical is responsible for permanent hardness of water? This is magnesium chloride. So temporary hardness will be due to calcium and magnesium hydrocarbonate HCO3, whereas permanent hardness will be because of magnesium, calcium and magnesium chlorides. So the two main causes of water hardness are calcium and magnesium salts. So calcium dissolved in the water passes over and through limestone deposits, whereas magnesium is dissolved in water passes through dolomite and other magnesium bearing formations. There is a chance of asking question based on this in the next exam also. So what exactly is peromitate? So peromitate is nothing but sodium zeolite, which is Na2Al2Si2O8, or I can simply write it as hydrated sodium aluminium silicate. So the answer is this. So peromitate is a zeolite, an artificial source. So it is sodium aluminium component with a formula of this. Okay, so sodium hydrated sodium aluminium orthosilicate. Next, so the cation exchange resin process is basically acidic group. So cation exchange resins are classified as strong acids which are ionized over a wide pH range. So next question, chemically what exactly is rust? It is ferric oxide with water. So rusting of iron, what exactly is it? So a reddish brown deposit is formed which is called rust, which is over a piece of iron when it is exposed to moisture. So I'll getting iron oxide with water as a combination into this. So this is a chemical change because we cannot get back pure iron from rusted iron by reversing the conditions. This is an important point. So next, what exactly is galvanizing? So galvanizing is simply coating iron with zinc, which is a very standard question asked many number of times. So galvanization, what exactly is? It is a process of applying protective zinc coating to steel or iron to prevent rusting. Very important. So basically, how is this happen? So by hot dipping, galvanizing the parts of submerged in the bath of molten zinc. So next question, which of the following is not thermoplastic? So these three are thermoplastics, whereas this is a thermo setting plastic. So remember, so bakelite is the first thermosetting plastic made up of synthetic components. Now polymer cannot be reused, means it cannot regain its original shape after melting, so you can't get back from the first step. The cross-link structure of the bakelite, and it is a thermosetting plastic because of the methyl bridges between the chains. So next, what exactly is isoprene? So isoprene is nothing but natural rubber. This question is also asked in the earlier papers. So the chemical name of natural rubber is called polyisoprene. It is a monomer from which it is built. So the monomer is one part. So natural rubber is built on repeating isoprene units. Okay. Next, what exactly is Buna-S? So Buna-S is a copolymer of butadiene and styrene. So see this. So this is an equation which governs Buna-S. So when you have butadiene and styrene in this particular combination, so it is a random copolymer formed by the emulsion of polymerization of mixture of 1:3 butadiene and styrene in the presence of peroxide catalyst. This is an important bit. At 5 degrees Celsius, we get this cold rubber, which is called styrene butadiene SBr rubber. This is an important question. Next, what is the main constituent of natural gas? So natural gas is basically based on methane. So this is a typical combination. So majority 85% of natural gas is methane. Then you have ethane, and then you have propane as the other major constituents, which are minor in nature, but majority is made up of methane. So ozone layer is present in stratosphere. So see this. So ozone is basically in stratosphere at 10 to 15 kilometers from Earth. Okay. So the amount of dissolved oxygen required to aerobically decompose the biodegradable organic matter of a given volume of water is nothing but BOD, or called biological oxygen demand. So you have to remember the definitions of all this. So what exactly is BOD? It represents the amount of oxygen consumed by the bacteria and other microorganisms while they decompose organic matter under aerobic conditions. Here oxygen is supposed to be present at a specified temperature.